Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I have over 50 tower block DIYs, and this is a compilation of all the DIYs I've done so far, and I did remake a few of these for the video. For this DIY you need 2 of the 72 block Hexagon tower blocks and some wood glue. I just start by joining 2 pieces together, and then I glue one on top of the tower blocks on each end, so it looks like this. So I made 10 of these, and I do make another 2 later in the video, so I made 12 altogether. And then I just took my Mod Podge and I arranged them around it in a half circle. And then I hot glued some of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree on the middle. And it wasn't sitting right, so I took it off and re-glued it before it dried. I made this bridge a different way the last time I made it. I was just making it up as I was going along, and I thought that this way might be easier. And then it did only take me like about 30 minutes to make this, so I think maybe this way is better. Either way, they were both hard to make. But they turned out nice in the end. So I was trying to just make sure you put the rope in the middle. And then I was trying to get it to stay in half circle shape so I could glue on the other blocks. And then I just glued on either side of the blocks on the bottom, and then I put some hot glue as well, and then I put another tower block, I don't know what I'm trying to say, another tower block to fill up the gap, and so it looks like that. And then I just kept doing that all the way around. You could just use hot glue if you wanted to, but just be careful because the hot glue seeps out onto the other side. I was trying to position it so you guys can see what I'm doing. I think this is... So I just wanted to show you guys all the steps, and I have trouble making these DIYs as well sometimes. Sometimes I just have them in my head, and then trying to make what I have in my head doesn't always work out. And then things fall apart, as you'll see right here. So I just glued it again, and then I had to get the Mod Podge bottle again and try and fix it. And yeah, just glue either side of the tower blocks. I can't remember if I said that already. Once it's down, I glue it on either side. And then at the base of the bottom tower block, this is when I decided to make, I made one more, and then I decided I needed another one. But the first time I made this bridge, I didn't need that many. But this time I did, so you just never know, because these blocks, nothing ever turns out the same with them. I had to cut off the glue and then put these ones in place again, and then put some more rope on it. Did I put more rope on it? Maybe I just hot glued them in place. Hot glued them and wood glued them in place. There's me. I made another one. Because you need it to be a half circle, you need both sides to sit flat on whatever you're going to put it on, table or shelf or whatever. And I hadn't waited for that part the glue to set on that part. But anyway, here you go. That's one side done. I did put another piece of nautical rope on just to hold it all together. But when you put it on, make sure you just put a little bit of rope on on each side, because this is what it should look like. Because you need a space there, because you're going to put tower blocks there later. So it should look like this, and then I just did the same thing for the other side. So I did most of the other side off camera, and then now that most of it is put together and holding together, I could show you exactly how I put the pieces together. So now I'm just going to put the sides on, and I think I used 5 blocks on each side, and this is why you don't want the rope to come down. I had to cut it and push it back, but I didn't show that. And then I just fit these tower blocks in. They don't fit perfect, and one I had to put on its side, but you won't see that once you fill it up with succulents. And then I just did the same thing for the other side, but I'll do that off camera. And then I stained it with some Minwax Early American wood stain. And this is how it turns out. And I actually do really like this wood stain. I don't use it very often, but it's really close to the Waverly Antique Wax colour. So if you can't get antique wax where you are, this is a good alternative. So you need 2 of the 72 block tower block packs for this project, and some wood glue. And then I'm just going to stick the pieces together, 2 together, and then I'm going to do one either end on top of the 2 that stuck together, so it looks like this. And I made 24 of them. You can make more if you want to make your tower bigger, or if you wanted to make it smaller, do less. And now I'm just going to glue together 4 blocks like this, and then another 4 blocks like this. And I stained it all with the Early American wood stain by Minwax. And I'm going to take my 2 pieces of 4 blocks, and then I'm going to glue one of these pieces in the middle. And then I start to glue all the other pieces on, and you want to make sure they are touching the piece that you glued on before. And then you just keep repeating that until you have used up all the pieces. And it kind of looks like they're going up in steps, like a spiral staircase. And I will show you me doing all of it. Once you had all the pieces put together, this bit was easy. It didn't take long to make this DIY at all. I was going to paint this a different colour, but it would have taken much longer to paint it, so I just slapped on the wood stain, and I didn't wipe it off, I just left it to soak in. And then it gives the colour really close to the antique wax, the Waverly antique wax. Except I think I like this more now. Well, the antique wax dries faster, but I don't know, I think I like this one more now. I think I'm going to get some more and use it more often. I think this DIY took me about maybe 30 minutes as well, I think. Maybe to put all the bits all together, I think so. Not including staining, obviously. And this is how it turned out. You can always paint it, you could put the beads on it, you could put the transfers for Dollar Tree, you could have the Spanish moss coming out in between the tower blocks. You could do all sorts of things with this. I need one of the 72 block tower block packs for this DIY, and I just want to take some of the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue, and I'm going to make a square. So once you have your square, you're going to get your next tower block, and then you're going to glue it from the bottom right corner diagonally to the top left corner. And then you'll do that for each tower block in the square. And then you're going to keep repeating that. And yeah, I remade this DIY as well because I thought that people would get it when I said just keep repeating until you get to the top, and then I showed them the top. But anyway, I'm going to show you me making the whole thing. This DIY looks really complicated, but it's really easy, and it took about 30 minutes as well. It didn't take long. So you basically make sure your square is dry before you start with the rest. But you guys have time to do that. I'm trying to hurry up for the videos. So just keep repeating the same thing for each one, and then the tower blocks will start sticking out as they make the spiral, and then they will eventually come back in to meet each other again. And I just make sure I wipe off any extra glue so you don't see it when you stain it. If you paint it, it doesn't really matter so much, but you don't want to see the glue when you're staining it. So this should be looking like this, like halfway up. And actually, this gave me an idea. You could make it this size, and then you could put something on the top and make this like the bottom of a tray, like a riser or something like that. There's loads of things you could do with it. Maybe I'll do that in the future and make another video with some things you can do with this. Let me know if you guys want to see that. So you see now it's starting to curve back in on itself. So yeah, just keep going until they meet each other again. However, I've made a few of these and each time it took a different amount of blocks because none of the blocks are the same. And I did try, before I remade it this way, I did try making it a different way by making the pieces separate and gluing them together, but that didn't work at all. This is definitely the best way to make it. And now you can push it together. And I did have to hold these till the wood glue set. And then it's just a square at the top as well. And just, you have to hold it till it sets in place or it will come apart, obviously. And then it looks like this. And then I stained it with the Minwax Early American wood stain. And this is how it turned out. In the last video I made more of them and I stacked them on top of each other. So you could definitely do that. I had used hot glue only, so they broke when I moved, so I only remade this one. I don't want to remake any more pictures of that. And for this first DIY, you need one of the 72 block tower block packs and some wood glue, and this is the Dollar Tree super glue wood glue. And the first block I don't glue, and then the third block I don't glue because those are just to space it out so that you can fit the blocks in properly. And then you just have to glue it in the pattern that I'm doing. I don't know how to explain it. So you will use 15 blocks to make this panel, and this one was easy to make. It didn't take too long at all. And then you just take out those 2 that you didn't glue, and I made 4 of these. Next I make the other parts of the lantern, and you've seen me do this before for previous lanterns. But this time I decided to put it on a wee stand, so I'm just going to make the base and the very bottom of the lamp and then the base of the lantern part. And you don't have to make a stand for it if you don't want to. Now I'm just making a square for the top of the lantern. So I want to fill in the wee square holes in the middle, so I'm just marking what size it'll be, and then I'm going to cut it down with my saw. And I'm going to do that for both of the holes. And the first one didn't fit when I pushed it in, so make sure that you can push it in and it fits before you cut it down. And then I just glued it in place and wiped away any excess glue. So I was just deciding how tall I wanted to make it, and I decided on just making it 2 tower blocks tall, and then I doubled it up. And this is when I decided I wanted to make the base larger. So I just glued the tower blocks around the outside of it. And then I glued this piece on to the base. Then I stained it all with some Waverly Antique Wax. And here's all my pieces. And then I just start gluing them together. So I glue a side on the top and the bottom, and then I leave that to dry. And then once it's dry, I do the other sides. And then once that's dry, I glued the base. I was deciding which side I wanted to be the front. And this is how it turned out. I just thought I would switch up a bit and make a base, and I love how it turned out. Remember, you can make yours any colour you want, and you don't even have to put the base on it if you don't want to. So you need 2 packs of tower blocks for this next DIY and some wood glue. And I'm just gluing I'm gluing the tower blocks in a square, just like I did in the last DIY. I'll do a big square and a wee square. And I made 3 wee squares and 2 big squares. And then I painted the big squares with some plaster Waverly chalk paint. I painted the 3 wee squares and 10 square beads from Dollar Tree with some ink chalk paint. And then I made a panel which is 3 tower blocks by 24, and then I stained them with some Waverly antique wax. And then I just used the wood glue to glue it all together. And you could choose whatever colours you like for this as well. So I glued down the 2 larger squares, and then I glued a wee one in the middle on top of those 2 squares, and then I glued the other 2 squares inside the larger squares. And then I took some twine and I tied a knot in one end, and then I threaded it through the beads. And I thought because they had a big hole in them that I could just thread them, but I had to put some hot glue on it. And then I'm just going to hot glue it to the back with a popsicle stick. And then I just trimmed off the excess twine. And this is how it turned out. Let me know what you guys think, if you would use these colours or some different colours. You could just have it nice and simple like this, or you could glue in some of the wee succulents from Dollar Tree like I did, and I think I like this way better. Let me know in the comments down below which way you prefer. And this next DIY, I'm going to use one of the 72 block packs of tower blocks and some of the Dollar Tree wood glue. And then I'm going to glue together 3 blocks, and then 1 block going the opposite way, and then another 3 blocks. And I made 4 of these. And now I'm going to glue together 2 rows of 7 blocks. And I made 2 of these, and then I'm going to take my other pieces that I made and glue them around the outside of one of them. And the back bit didn't fit perfect, but it's going to be at the back, so it doesn't matter. And now with the other piece, I'm going to glue on 4 blocks in a rectangle in the middle of it, and then I'm going to glue another 4 blocks on top of those blocks. And then I stained it with the Waverly antique wax. And then I'm going to take some plaster Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint the middle tower block on each side. I'll just show you me painting one though. I'll do the rest off camera. I just painted the top part. And then I have some of the transfers from Dollar Tree, rub-on transfers, and I'm just going to rub them on with a popsicle stick, and I'm going to do that for each of the painted tower blocks. I'll just show you two, and then I'll do the other two off camera. And then I'm going to glue it to the base. I decided it was easier to do it upside down, and then that was when I found out I had painted a part of it. And this is how it turned out. I just filled it up with some succulents from Dollar Tree and some Spanish moss from Walmart, and I think it turned out really cute. For this next DIY, you need 4 of the 72 block tower block packs and some wood glue. And I am just making 2 rows of 7 and gluing them together. So just like the last DIY, except for that these are only going to have 3 sides. And then I just gluing them to the 3 sides. And I made 6 of these, and then I have 24 blocks, and I stained them with the Minwax Jacobean wood stain. And then I am just going to glue 2 to one side of one of these little shelves. And I just make sure I clean off any excess glue. My god. And I do that for 2 of them. And then I glue those, the other side of them, to this tray shelf that's in the middle. And then I start gluing on tower blocks in the corners. And you could stain it after, you can make it any colour you like. I just thought it'd be easier to stain it and then put it together. So just 1 block in each corner. And then this middle piece needs 2 blocks. I was just measuring and making sure they were going to be the same length. So you're really going to need 26 blocks because I decided I wanted to put an extra 2 here, make it more sturdy. And then I'd forgotten that I was supposed to put them in the middle on the bottom, so I did that. And then I glued this middle shelf on. And then I just put a paint bottle on top just to weigh it down till it dried. Oh, I put 2 on. And then I started gluing on the other tower blocks on top of the ones that I'd already glued. And then I glued on top of them and put the next shelf on. And I did this because the tower blocks are not all, nothing is even or perfect on it, and it meant that I could push the tower blocks in and make sure that everyone would be as flush as it could be. And then I just did the last shelf. You could do more shelves if you wanted to, or you could just do it 2 in a row instead of 3. It's up to you. And this is how it turned out, and it's perfect for storing your little trinkets or crystals or whatever you would like to put on it. I decided to go with a wee pink theme today. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, which DIY was your favourite. I used 4 of the 72 block tower block packets. I'm going to use the Dollar Tree Super Glue Wood Glue, and then I'm going to glue together 9 tower blocks in a row. And then I'm going to glue on 7, and I'm going to keep going up until I get to 3 tower blocks. And I just make sure that I wipe off any excess glue. And the end one was too long. You see that it's a little bit longer, so I decided to swap it out for a shorter one. Because you know, the tower blocks, none of them are the same, I'm laughing at my hair. None of them are the same size, so I made 8 of them. And then next I make a square, and it's going to be 9 blocks across and 3 blocks high, so you need 27 blocks for this. And I make 2 of them, but I do the other one off camera. And there they are. And then I take 4 of the things that I made before and then I just glue 1 tower block to the middle or the top of each of them. And then once they've dried, I just start gluing these around one of the squares that I made. Oh, and you can use some hot glue if you want as well to make it stick, and then they won't fall over. But my hot glue gun wasn't on, so just using some paint bottles to prop it up, and then I'm using these little cubes, the wooden cubes from Dollar Tree, to put in the corners. So I put one in each corner. And that helps hold it together. And you could always hot glue those little blocks on and it would be better. I would hold it fast. And then I just did the other side. And I just did the same thing. And you can use tower blocks instead of the wee cubes if you don't have them. I do use tower blocks as well, as you'll see in the next clip, because those cubes weren't holding it enough. Maybe because it was still wet and I'm too impatient to let it dry properly. Okay, so here I decided to put the tower blocks in and just line them flat so that you wouldn't see them when you're looking at it. So I put them on both sides. Put 2 on each side, on the top part and the bottom part. And then I just put some hot glue. I put some wood glue in the middle tower block on each of these, and then I put this on top. And I didn't want to wait till it completely set to do this, so that I could pull it and make sure that the blocks were going to be flush. And then I had to keep pulling on it and like holding it until the glue set. And I used the Jacobean wood stain by Minwax, and you could stain the 2 halves if you wanted to, but I didn't want it to dry and not be able to glue it together. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. And I added a little wooden bead on the middle of each of the one block by itself. I decided to do that after I stained it. And then I didn't have any long candles, so I used a candlestick and put some greenery in there. You need 4 of the 72 block tower block packs for this next DIY. I'm using the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue. I am going to glue together 9 tower blocks in a row. And I'm just doing the same, basically the opposite way of the first lantern that I did. And then I'm just gluing up the way. So it's basically the same pattern but the opposite way around. So instead of this one, will have corners, like the corner edges, and then the cutout will be in the middle instead of on the corners. And I always just keep wiping the glue away because it shows up when you stain it. So I just turn the ruler around and then I just do the exact same thing on the other side. I was going to make a third version of this lantern where you have the blocks go in, I don't know how to explain this, in the way so the middle ones will meet, and then the cutout bits will be at the top and the bottom corners. So maybe I'll make that. Let me know if you want me to make that one. But I didn't want to keep doing the same kind of thing over and over again in the video. So I made 4 of these. And here they are. and I decided to glue on some of these half beads. So this is where I decided to place them, and then I just glue them on with the wood glue. And if you wanted to, you could attach some canvas or some material or something to the back of this. It doesn't have to be open, that would look nice. There's like different things that you could do. I just thought of them, but I didn't have time to do them. But if you want to make it, you could always do that. And then you don't have to put the half beads on if you don't want to. And you can also stain them and paint them any colour you like. I think they would look nice with the Waverly Antique Wax. I chose the Jacobean wood stain because you can just slap it on and wipe it off. It's much quicker, although it does take longer to dry. And then I'm just making another square like the last time, and with 27 blocks, 9 across and 3 high. And I didn't put a top on this because it would make it easier to put candles and stuff in, but you can make a top for yours if you want to. And then I'm just going to glue them all together, and I'm going to use the wee cubes and the tower blocks to hold it together like I did the last time. And I used some of the cubes at the top, and just like 2 inches down from that, but you can't see on the camera. But just put them where they won't be too noticeable, but they will hold it together. I do move it so that you can see where I put it at the top. So yeah, if you used hot glue for these parts, it would hold together quicker, and then you wouldn't have to wait for it all to dry. Well, the cube parts. So I put one in each corner up the top here, and then I put it at the bottom of the second block down. I put another one there on each corner. And then I put the tumbling tower blocks in the bottom, just the same way as I did for the last lantern. And sometimes with this glue you just have to hold it together just until it sets. So then I decided to put these bamboo skewers from Walmart in the corners. If I had the thicker dowel rods, wooden dowel rods, I would have put those in it, but these worked out good. So I just measured it, cut it, and then I glued it in place. And I did that for each corner off camera. And then I stained it all with the Jacobean wood stain by Minwax. And this is how it turned out. I don't have any tall candles, so I just put it on a wee candle holder so you guys could see what it would look like. And I really love how this turned out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. For this last DIY, you only need 1 pack of the 72 block tower blocks. And I'm using the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue again. And I'm just going to glue together 8 blocks in a square. And I make 7 of these. And for the bottom, I make another square, but I fill it in with the rest of the blocks. So it fits like this, and then there's like a wee square cut out in the very middle. So it should look like this. And then I have some square beads from the new Shore Living garlands from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to glue one in each corner, but I'm going to glue them diagonally with the holes facing in the way. I'm going to show you in a second what way the holes have to face. So they look like that, because I'm going to thread some twine through them, but my memory card for my camera decided it needed formatted, and I lost the footage of me putting the twine through, but it's an easy step anyway. So I just keep building this up like that, and make sure that you put all the beads on the right way, because I was rushing it and messed up a couple of them. And I'm not sure how many beads I used, I'd have to count them. But you can make this as tall as you like. You don't even have to make it as tall as this, it's up to you. And you'd probably be better off staining them before you glued the beads on, staining everything first. If you were using the antique wax, it would make it much easier. So I just put the last layer on, and then those other 4 beads are for the bottom. For the bottom beads, I glue them with the hole facing on the bottom, so that you won't see it, because these are the wee feet. And then I stained it all with the Jacobean Minwax wood stain. And this is what looks like with the twine in it. Sorry that I couldn't show you that part, but it's pretty easy. Just thread it through and then tie it, and that's it. And the same tower block structure. So I'm going to use 2 packs of the 72 block packs of tower blocks, some super glue, wood glue, and a square ruler. So I just start by gluing the blocks together, and I've put a number at the top of each layer so that you know which one you're on. And I'm just marking off with a pencil where I'm going to cut, and I have this little saw that I got from Amazon, and I've got a link down below if you're interested in it. But I'll show you at the end of this DIY that you don't have to use a saw and cut the pieces, you can just stick them in the way. But for some of the DIYs in this video, you will have to cut it down. So I just keep placing the blocks around, gluing them down, and then that's the first layer. And you can pause the video or slow it down so that you can see exactly how I'm placing the blocks. So you just keep repeating just doing the same thing for each layer, and it's not very exciting to watch. So I made this DIY, and then I had an idea for another DIY, and another one, using these squares. So I had to make these squares over and over again. But it's worth it because they all turned out really nice. If it had more blocks, I probably could have come up with some more things. So maybe in the future, So I'm obsessed with ancient Egypt and pyramids and stuff, so I love these. But if you're not into that, then obviously the other DIYs later on in the video, hope you like those ones. So there's no more explaining really for this. I'm just making the squares smaller one each time, and you just need to watch and see the pattern for each layer. And I'm just going to let the music play for now because I don't have anything else to say about it. Once all your layers are dry, you're just going to glue them together. Now I put a bit too much glue on. You could probably get away with just putting it in the corners. And for each row, I am just putting it on at an angle so that all the corners are touching at an angle. And I just keep doing that for each layer. If you wanted to make the other pyramid you can just put them square with obviously an equal space around the edge of each one. So just keep gluing these on, and definitely don't put as much glue just in the corners, because when you turn it over you can see it. And that's the last layer. So I tried out this blue stain by Varanth, and this is what it looks like on the bottom if you don't cut off the pieces. And then I hot glue a pyramid crystal on the top, and I'll leave a link for them. There was a set of 8 different colours from Amazon, and this is how it turned out. I love the pattern that the layers make when you twist them like this. And what do you guys think about this blue stain? I'm undecided on if I like it or not, but I wanted to try it, so I used it on this. And then if you turn it upside down and fill it with some succulents and stones and stuff, then it looks like this. And I stained this one with the Waverly Antique Wax. For this next DIY, I took the first layer and I made it, and I didn't cut down the blocks, and then I just filled in the inside in. And off camera I made all the other layers except for the last layer with the 3 little blocks. So I'm just going to glue them together. And there, I didn't cut them because you're not going to see inside this one. And I'm just gluing them together in the spiral shape, and you could always do it the square way if you wanted to. And then I just wipe off any excess glue that spills out. And you see here, this was the 9th layer, and I didn't do the last layer. You can if you want to, if this is all you wanted to make, but I wanted to use this DIY and the last DIY to put together to make the next DIY. So you only need the 10th layer on one of them. And then when you glue it together, make sure that the biggest squares line up with each other, and then you can have it this way. I think it turned out, it looks really cool. I love it. I just put the succulents in that back in the top, or you could turn it upside down and then have it like a little plant stand, put your candles on, things like that. So let me know which way you would have it. And it's just good to have options. So let me know in the comments down below. I love getting your guys' feedback. For this next DIY, I made the first 4 layers of the pyramid, one with the first layer all filled in, and the other one, obviously I didn't fill it in. And I am just going to glue them in the square design. You could do the twisted one if you wanted to. So I'm just starting with the smallest one, and I'm doing it this way so that I don't get any glue sticking out, seeping out. So I'll just do from the smallest one to the biggest one. And then just wipe off any glue that comes out with a wet paper towel. And this one, I'm starting off the biggest one. And then just make sure you've got equal space around the outside of each one. And that's it. And I stained them with the Waverly Antique Wax. And I have some of this wallpaper from Dollar Tree, and you could put the frame the other way like I just showed you, but I'm going to do it this way around. So I just cut it out, the piece that I want, with some scissors, and I already cut some foam board, so I'm just going to stick it to the foam board. I'm just trimming off the excess. And then I'm just going to hot glue it to the back. I was just checking which side was going to be the top. And then I just made a wee hanger with some twine and a popsicle stick and some hot glue. And for this next one, I am just putting in some Spanish moss and a wee succulent and some greenery. But you could put some flowers in here, or and I love how these turned out. Obviously you can paint them whichever colour you like, stain them whichever colour. I just love this antique wax, so I used that. And then again, you could just put some flowers in here. You could get your Cricut and put some writing inside it, or there's loads of different things you could do with it. For this next DIY, I made the 2 frames like I did for the pictures in the last DIY, and then I made these panels, which are 7 blocks across and 5 blocks high for 2 of them, and the other 2 are 8 blocks across and 5 blocks high. So I start off with the 7 across, and then I just glue it on, and then I glue the 8 block one to that, and then I do the 7 across one, so that the 2 smaller panels are opposite each other and the 2 larger ones are opposite each other, and it makes a square. And I just glue it with the super glue, wood glue, and then I just wipe off any extra that comes out with a wet paper towel. And then once it's dry, I just put some glue on the top rim, and then I was going to put it on like this, stick it together like this, but then decided to turn it upside down and then glue it together like this. And I just wipe off the excess glue, and I stain it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then here it is. You can have it like this, like a planter, and put some plants inside. I don't have enough room there to show you it all with the plant, or you can turn it upside down and then you can have a plant stand. For this next DIY, I made rows 4 to 8, and then I am just gluing them together with the corners in the opposite direction each way. And I got this mirror from Michael's. It was in a little pack, and I put it on top of the second layer, and then I just keep gluing the squares on like this, so it kind of looks like a star. And then I stain it with the Waverly Antique Wax. So you could have it like this, just a little bit of wall art, or I put succulent on this one. And then if you turn it round, then if you use the mirror, then you could have it with a mirror. And for this last DIY, I made another pyramid, but I didn't want to show you all the steps again, so I stained it with the Jacobean wood stain by Minwax. And then it's a secret one. So I hot glue a crystal to the top of one of the pyramid crystals, and then for this pyramid I filled in the bottom layer so it would all be enclosed, and then halfway up I'm just going to show you, this is what I did to fill it in, and then I put an extra tower block on the, so it would fit on the inside so the top wouldn't move around, so that you could open it up. And I've just put some jewellery in here, but you could paint these any way you want. You could like glam them up, put mirror tiles and stuff for all these DIYs. The possibilities are endless, and this is what it looks like when it's closed. I already glued together 3 sets of 4 tower blocks and then 3 sets of 12 tower blocks, and I glued them in the opposite direction. And you could do 4 sets of 12 tower blocks if you wanted to, but I wanted to have the long edge and the long side showing around the outside of the square instead of having the little end showing. So for the next layer I'm just measuring where I want to cut the tower blocks, and then I cut them down with the little saw, and I will leave a link down below if you're interested. It's quite handy to have, especially if you want to make these DIYs. So then I just cut the blocks down, and then I keep gluing them together in a square. And you can slow down the video, or you could pause it when I finish the square so you can see how I laid out the blocks. And I did do this in my last tower block video, but for this DIY I'm only going to do 4 layers. And then I'm just doing the same thing for the next layer. And this layer was easy because I didn't have to cut down the blocks. Well, I can't remember if I said, but I took 2 of the 72 block packs of tower blocks to make this DIY. And for the video, for everything in the video, I used 7 packs, I think 7 packs, but this DIY, I use it to make the next DIY as well, so you would need another 2 packets if you wanted to make them all. And then this is the last layer, and just make sure you wipe off any excess glue because you don't want to have that showing when you paint it or stain it. Then I made 4 of these, and they are 12 blocks, so I just glue 6 of them in a row and then another 6, and then I glue those 2 rows together. And you can choose to make this part longer or shorter, it's up to you. After the glue set, I took the pieces and then I started gluing them together. I'm going from the biggest one to the smallest one, and just try and get an equal space around the outside of each one. Yeah, so it looks like a step pattern. And I made 2 of these, and I'm going to stain it with the Waverly Antique Wax, but you can use any colour that you like. And then I have these 2 pieces of wood from Dollar Tree, and then this little knob that was off something else. And then I stained them with the Waverly Antique Wax. So now I'm just going to put it together, but I'm only going to put the glue on this bottom part because I am going to use this DIY to make the next DIY, and I'm just gluing this bottom part, and then I'm going to put the top part on and the little wooden squares and knob. I'm just going to place them on top so to show you what it looks like, but because I'm not going to use the knob and stuff in the next DIY, I'm not going to glue them down. And I think it turned out so pretty. I've wanted to make a lantern for a while. See, everybody likes them on YouTube. So I thought it would look nice with the step pattern, and I'm really pleased how it turned out. You guys can let me know what you think. Okay, for the next DIY, I made one of the biggest squares, and then I made two of each of the other ones, and then I just glue them together like this, just the same way as I did in the last DIY. But I glue these one set on top, and then I turn it over, and then I glue the other set. And then the middle part, I made 4 more of them, and I only have 6 in a row, but after I made it, I took it upstairs to where I was going to put it, and I wasn't tall enough, so I ended adding on another 2. So basically another 4 blocks for each row. And then it should look like this when you're finished. And I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then I made some feet, and I ended up making these longer by adding another 2 blocks to each one. Well, they were 2 blocks high because I wanted it to rest against the wall, flush against the wall, and you guys call it the baseboard, what we call it a skirting board in Scotland, and I had to make it a bit taller so that it would be taller than that. And here I am, I just turned it upside down so that I could glue these parts in, and then I glued the middle part. And you don't have to glue those parts inside the square, you could put them on the edge in the corner because that would give you more room to put stuff on, because the squares are quite small. So that's up to you if you want to do that. And then I glued the legs on the bottom, but I didn't put them to the edge so that they wouldn't interfere with the baseboard. And then once all that was dry, I just glued it to the other part. And then this is how it turned out. And I love it. It looks so pretty when I come up the stairs and see it. Yeah, I made this to fit in that space, but you could make it wider if you wanted to, or taller if you wanted to. You could put another shelf in it if you wanted. I had to film it straight up and down because it didn't all fit. And this last DIY, I got some paint sticks from Lowe's, and you could do this entirely with tower blocks if you wanted to, but I didn't have enough. So I'm using paint sticks. I was just making sure that they were all roughly the same length, because sometimes some are quite a bit bigger than the others, and then I just glue them all together. And that was me measuring if I was going to use those pieces of wood or not, which I do end up using. And I measure and cut these 2 pieces of wood that I got from Dollar Tree. And you could also use tower blocks for this part if you have enough. But I bought these a while ago, so I thought I would use them up. and then I glue the two pieces of wood together, and then I reinforce the back with some craft sticks, and I got these in Lowe's too, but you can get these in, I don't know about Dollar Tree. I've not seen these ones, but I've seen them in Walmart and Home Depot. And I just hot glue these on, and just to give it extra support and the paint sticks are pretty thin, and the super glue wood glue is good, but I don't know how it will hold up for this. And then I reinforce these because I know they're not going to stay together because they're not straight on the edge. There's like little gaps in between. But here I made the craft sticks too long and I end up having to saw them down a little bit later on. And then I start gluing tower blocks around the edge, with just on 3 sides. And you do have to, well, I had to cut down some pieces to make them fit. And I do have to cut a wee bit before I decided to put it right in the middle of this row. I just have to push it out a little bit. And then I just measured, and then I cut it with the saw. And then it just slides right in. So I just continue to do this. Oh no, I don't continue to do that. This is where I had to cut down the craft sticks because they were too long. So yeah, I just used the wee saw for that, and then I picked off with these, what are they called? Shear things from Dollar Tree. And some of them didn't want to come up, the hot glue didn't want to come off, but I got it off. And then I had to glue all the pieces back on. Okay, so now I carry on. And I just do the same thing and fit them in and cut off the extra bits at the ends there, and then cut down any blocks I need to fit in the gaps. And this one I only had to cut those 2 little ends. And then once I've cut the pieces, I just glue those blocks down and then start the next row. So I did the next row, but I had to get some more tower blocks and then I forgot to press play again. So I did the next 2 rows. I'll show you me laying the blocks down, but then they're off camera. So I'm sorry about that. And yeah, you just do the same thing, just try to make the next one a little bit smaller. Okay, so you can pause here and you can see how I did that last row. And here I'm just putting some glue on the back of the shelf so I can glue it to the paint sticks. And it was running out, so I had to get the paintbrush. And I just put it underneath these little holes, and you can put the paint sticks the other way around if you want to put these holes at the top, but I didn't want to have them at the top, so they're at the bottom. And then after that, I just fit the tower blocks around the edge of the paint sticks. And you can see that all the blocks are in a line with the shelf. And I just glue them all the way around, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to do it off camera. And then next I reinforced the shelf with some tower blocks on the bottom. And I turned it around so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. And I did add one more after this, and those ones I slid them underneath that last row on the shelf. And then I just cut off these wee extra bits with the saw. It wasn't quite dry yet, but you should wait till yours is dry. And then I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then I put a wee hanger, well I was going to put on this part, but I decided to move it down a wee bit. And I'm just using hot glue, some nautical rope from Dollar Tree, I had this wee scrap bit of it, and then some more craft sticks. And I think it turned out really cute. You can always do a different colour, or you could put some words in it or something. Like just make it your own. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I have 3 tumbling tower block lanterns today. This first DIY, I used 4 of the 72 block tower block packets. I'm going to use the Dollar Tree super glue wood glue, and then I'm going to glue together 9 tower blocks in a row, and then I'm going to glue on 7, and I'm going to keep going up until I get to 3 tower blocks. And I just make sure that I wipe off any excess glue. And the end one was too long. You see that it's a little bit longer, so I decided to swap it out for a shorter one. Because you know, the tower blocks, none of them are the same, I'm laughing at my hair. None of them are the same size, so I made 8 of them. And then next I make a square, and it's going to be 9 blocks across and 3 blocks high, so you need 27 blocks for this. And I make 2 of them, but I do the other one off camera. And there they are. And then I take 4 of the things that I made before and then I just glue 1 tower block to the middle or the top of each of them. And then once they've dried, I just start gluing these around one of the squares that I made. And you can use some hot glue if you want as well to make it stick, and then they won't fall over. But my hot glue gun wasn't on, so just using some paint bottles to prop it up, and then I'm using these little cubes, the wooden cubes from Dollar Tree, to put in the corners. So I put 1 in each corner. And that helps hold it together. And you could always hot glue those little blocks on and it would be better. I would hold it fast. And then I just did the other side. And I just did the same thing. And you can use tower blocks instead of the wee cubes if you don't have them. I do use tower blocks as well, as you'll see in the next clip, because those cubes weren't holding it enough. Maybe because it was still wet and I'm too impatient to let it dry properly. Okay, so here I decided to put the tower blocks in and just line them flat so that you wouldn't see them when you're looking at it. So I put them on both sides. Put 2 on each side, on the top part and the bottom part. And then I just put some hot glue. I put some wood glue in the middle tower block on each of these, and then I put this on top. And I didn't want to wait till it completely set to do this, so that I could pull it and make sure that the blocks were going to be flush. And then I had to keep pulling on it and like holding it until the glue set. And I used the Jacobean wood stain by Minwax, and you could stain the 2 halves if you wanted to, but I didn't want it to dry and not be able to glue it together. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. And I added a little wooden bead on the middle of each of the one block by itself. I decided to do that after I stained it. And then I didn't have any long candles, so I used a candlestick and put some greenery in there. You need 4 of the 72 block tower block packs for this next DIY. I'm using the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue. I am going to glue together 9 tower blocks in a row. And I'm just doing the same, basically the opposite way of the first lantern that I did. And then I'm just gluing up the way. So it's basically the same pattern but the opposite way around. So instead of this one, I'll have corners, like the corner edges, and then the cutout will be in the middle instead of on the corners. And I always just keep wiping the glue away because it shows up when you stain it. So I just turn the ruler around and then I just do the exact same thing on the other side. I was going to make a third version of this lantern where you have the blocks go in, I don't know how to explain this, in the way so the middle ones will meet, and then the cutout bits will be at the top and the bottom corners. So maybe I'll make that. Let me know if you want me to make that one. But I didn't want to keep doing the same kind of thing over and over again in the video. So I made 4 of these. And here they are. And I decided to glue on some of these half beads. So this is where I decided to place them, and then I just glue them on with the wood glue. And if you wanted to, you could attach some canvas or some material or something to the back of this, It doesn't have to be open, that would look nice. There's like different things that you could do. I just thought of them, but I didn't have time to do them. But if you want to make it, you could always do that. And then you don't have to put the half beads on if you don't want to. And you can also stain them and paint them any colour you like. I think they would look nice with the Waverly Antique Wax. I chose the Jacobean wood stain because you can just slap it on and wipe it off. It's much quicker, although it does take longer to dry. And then I'm just making another square like the last time, and with 27 blocks, 9 across and 3 high. And I didn't put a top on this because it would make it easier to put candles and stuff in, but you can make a top for yours if you want to. And then I'm just going to glue them all together, and I'm going to use the wee cubes and the tower blocks to hold it together like I did the last time. And I used some of the cubes at the top, and just like 2 inches down from that, but you can't see on the camera. But just put them where they won't be too noticeable, but they will hold it together. I do move it so that you can see where I put it at the top. So yeah, if you used hot glue for these parts, it would hold together quicker, and then you wouldn't have to wait for it all to dry. Well, the cube parts. So I put one in each corner up the top here, and then I put it at the bottom of the second block down. I put another one there on each corner. And then I put the tumbling tower blocks in the bottom, just the same way as I did for the last lantern. And sometimes with this glue you just have to hold it together just until it sets. So then I decided to put these bamboo skewers from Walmart in the corners. If I had the thicker dowel rods, wooden dowel rods, I would have put those in it, but these worked out good. So I just measured it, cut it, and then I glued it in place. And I did that for each corner off camera. And then I stained it all with the Jacobean wood stain by Minwax. And this is how it turned out. I don't have any tall candles, so I just put it on a wee candle holder so you guys could see what it would look like. And I really love how this turned out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. For this last DIY, you only need 1 pack of the 72 block tower blocks. And I'm using the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue again. And I'm just going to glue together 8 blocks in a square. And I make 7 of these. And for the bottom, I make another square, but I fill it in with the rest of the blocks. So it fits like this, and then there's like a wee square cut out in the very middle. So it should look like this. And then I have some square beads from the new Shore Living garlands from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to glue one in each corner, but I'm going to glue them diagonally with the holes facing in the way. I'm going to show you in a second what way the holes have to face. So they look like that, because I'm going to thread some twine through them, but my memory card for my camera decided it needed formatted, and I lost the footage of me putting the twine through, but it's an easy step anyway. So I just keep building this up like that, and make sure that you put all the beads on the right way, because I was rushing it and messed up a couple of them. And I'm not sure how many beads I used, I'd have to count them. But you can make this as tall as you like. You don't even have to make it as tall as this, it's up to you. And you'd probably be better off staining them before you glued the beads on, staining everything first. If you were using the antique wax, it would make it much easier. So I just put the last layer on, and then those other 4 beads are for the bottom. For the bottom beads, I glue them with the hole facing on the bottom, so that you won't see it, because these are the wee feet. And then I stained it all with the Jacobean Minwax wood stain. And this is what looks like with the twine in it. Sorry that I couldn't show you that part, but it's pretty easy. Just thread it through and then tie it, and that's it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I finally have some tower block DIYs. For this first DIY, you'll need one 72 block pack of tower blocks, and then one of these home signs. They also have a welcome one. I'm just going to use some super glue, wood glue, and then start gluing the tower blocks around the outside, and make sure it's right on the edge of the home sign, and then just wipe off any excess glue. And I like to just put a few on at a time and then move them into the right place. And I will do the rest of this off camera. And I'm trying this Rust-Oleum Vintage Aqua wood stain for the first time, so you guys can let me know if you like it or not. I thought it would go well with the nautical theme that's out in Dollar Tree just now. And then I'm using some plaster Waverly chalk paint to paint the home. And I'll just show you me painting one part, and then I'll do the rest off camera. And of course you can pick whatever colours you like for this. And then I just dry brushed along the top edge of the tower blocks. You could always do it around the outside if you wanted to, but I decided just to do this part. And then I stained 10 beads with the Rust-Oleum Vintage Aqua stain. And then I take a piece of twine, tie a knot at one end, and then I put a little bit of hot glue on the other end to make it easier to thread the beads. And then I just thread them on. So you can choose another colour for the beads if you want to, or you could leave them plain, or you could dry brush them with the plaster paint, and you can also stain the back if you want to. So I just figure out where I wanted to put the beads, and then I cut the craft sticks, and then I hot glued them in place. Just watch, don't burn your fingers. And then I just snipped off the excess twine. And then I'm going to hot glue some greenery from Dollar Tree on the inside. And I just wanted to keep it simple. And I love how this turned out. I think it's perfect for summer. This stain would be perfect for beach decor, so I might do some of that in the future. And for this DIY, you need 2 packs of tumbling tower blocks, the 72 block packs. I'll never get those. And then I already made 2 rectangles which have 18 blocks in them each, and I'm just making a third one. Just using the wood glue. And then wiping off the excess. So that's my 3 rectangles, and now I'm making 2 sets of 6 tower blocks, and these are going to be for the sides. Once I'm finished, I just leave them all to set for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. Doesn't take long. And then I forgot to film me putting some beads on the bottom corners of 2 of the rectangles, and I recorded me fixing them. So next I'm gonna take the 2 smaller pieces and attach them to the piece that doesn't have any beads on it. I'm just always taking off the excess glue, and then I'm going to turn these 2 pieces over because those beads were for the legs and then our feet. I'm going to glue this other piece on the top, and then I glue these wooden half beads in each corner, and I'll leave a link below for them. I'm obsessed with these beads now. I have to use them on almost everything. And for this next part, I turn it over and then I glue 8 tower blocks to one side, and then off camera I glue the next set of tower blocks on the other side. And then I forgot to show it, but I stained it with the vintage aqua Rust-Oleum wood stain. And then I printed off these stars, it's called Magic Dust Trail I think, on my Cricut. And I found it on Cricut Design Space. And I'm just transferring the vinyl, and I'm just making sure that that middle star is lined up with the middle of the blocks. And then those 2 stars at the end, you can see, oh, and then I use the plaster Waverly chalk paint. But those 2 stars that are at the end of the stand, I don't do those because I don't want any stars on that edge piece. And I didn't do the top one either. And then I just dried it a little bit with a hairdryer so that I could put another star on that side to fill it out. And then I also printed off Sleep Tight. I'm just going to transfer that. And I give another blast of the hairdryer. So I just position that, and then I peel off the transfer tape. And then I use this Apple Barrel Mountain Blue paint. And then I just use a makeup sponge again to apply the paint. And I thought these colours would go nice together. And then I just peel off the transfer tape. And then I blast it with the hairdryer so that I can take these little bits off and I don't smudge any of the paint. And then I made this because I got these little moon, cloud and star from Dollar Tree, and I wanted something to display them on, and I think it would be perfect for like a nursery or a little kids room or something. In this next DIY you need 2 packs of tower blocks, and then you need 2 of these wooden square planks. And here I'm just measuring how many tower blocks I would need for the plank, and then I'm making this to cover up my air freshener. And I did make one of these before, but I used the little wooden cubes, so I'll link that video down below if you want to watch that one, but that one was a bit harder to make. So I made this, it was 7 blocks across and 5 blocks high, but I left that one out because the spray is going to go through the hole. And then I made the sides, and they were 6 blocks along and 5 blocks high, and I made 2 of those and just glued them all with the super glue wood glue. But yeah, I like having the air fresheners, but they're ugly. So I'm disguising them. So there's what I made. And now I'm gonna attach the blocks to one of these pieces. And that Ethan came in and started playing with the blocks. So I gave him a packet to go away. And then I just glued them all around in a square, making sure they're right at the edge, and then wiping away any excess glue. But I'm going to finish this off camera. So I'm just going to take the other square plank and then I'm going to glue the sides on, starting with the front piece. I'm just putting glue on the bottom, and then on the side it's going to be touching the front piece. Oh, and then I took 4 tower blocks and I glued them in the 2 bottom corners and the 2 top corners. And then after I did that, I glued the top on. And then I realized that the air freshener wasn't going to reach the hole. So I used the leftover bricks, and these are 5 across and then 2 high, but then I put another set right on top, and just glued it all at the same time. And then I glued it inside the air freshener holder. I don't know what you want to call it. And then I stained it all with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then I decided to hot glue some of this burlap ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree. It's one of the new, it's like a pack of 3. And I'm just hot gluing it along that edge, well, along where you can see the plank, the edge of the plank. And then I put another piece of ribbon along the top of this first row of tower blocks. And then there you go, it fits in, and you can see the spray is where the hole is. And then this is how it turned out. I just filled it with some succulents, and I think it turned out really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. For this last DIY, we need 6 packs of the 72 block tower blocks and one of these home signs, and I'm just going to take the tag off, and then I'm going to use the super glue wood glue, and I'm just going to do the same things I did for the first DIY and glue the tower blocks all around the outside. And if you want to, you can fill in the wee hole, but I didn't bother because when you put stuff on this, you're not going to see it anyway. Just put it at the back. Because the wood filler doesn't really stain. I don't think so. It says it does on the packet, but it doesn't. So I'll just show you me doing a wee bit of these, and then I'll do the rest off camera. And now what I'm doing is I've turned it over, and then I'm laying a tower block on its side, and then I'm gluing the tower blocks on top of it, but not to that block, to the blocks that we already glued, well, I already glued. And those blocks are just there because I want to make like a little edge around the top of this, so it's like a tray on the top. So I just do that all the way around. And then I finish it off camera. And this is what it looks like. And then I made this 6 blocks, and I made 39 of them. This is them all. So this DIY, it was straightforward, but obviously gluing the blocks together and stuff took time. It was worth it in the end. And then I just take those tower blocks that I just did, and I'm just gluing them on top of the inner rim of the tower blocks, and I'm just holding them for a few seconds until they set. And don't worry about them not being perfect at the top, because I used some twine to pull it all together, and I forgot to film that part. I ended up filming me after it. And yeah, so just get some twine at the top, pull it tight, and then wait for it all to set. And this is, you'll see the twine there. So now I just doing the same thing, putting a tower block and then gluing the other ones on top. And I turned it on its side at first, and I did half of this, and then I just did the rest of it with it standing up. And I just started off by putting it right across, right on top of the tower block underneath, but eventually it starts going between two tower blocks, and those held it together, but there's a few that aren't held together. But after I stain it, I will fix that and I'll show you what I do. And right now it looks like a Super Mario pipe. So I'm just fixing it so that it can be as a nice curve. And then I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then I take the nautical from Dollar Tree, the white one, cream, and then I just hot glue that around the two ends, and this is what holds it all together. So I'm just hot gluing it all the way around at that edge. And I think this was a thinner nautical. I think so. But just keep hot gluing it all the way around. And then when you get to the end, you can tape it off and then glue it and cut it, but it was late and I just wanted to get finished. But make yours neater than mine. So I did this for the two ends, and then I also did it in the middle. And this is how it turned out, and I love it. I was going to do it in the aqua colour, but I decided to do the Waverly Antique Wax. So this, you can have it like a stand and put stuff on it, or you can have it, turn it upside down and have it as a plant pot. So let me know which one of these DIYs is your favourite. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Together diagonally with corner to corner, like and then you just keep gluing them like this, so it makes a spiral. And don't use hot glue, this is not a video, I just use hot glue to make it quicker. And I'd already had this little palette from Dollar Tree that was already painted, so I was just reusing it. And then I hot glued it to the palette. So your spiral should start and finish, your first and last tower blocks should be like equal in line with each other. And I just glued them on like this. Definitely should use hot glue. And then I just glued a succulent on top. And you can have it just standing up like this, or you could hang it on the wall with your succulent. For this next DIY, I am using some Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue. I'm just going to glue on the blocks flat like this, but diagonally, just like the last DIY. And if you use wood glue, it does take a lot longer, but it definitely will hold together better. And I just kept doing that until I got the height that I wanted. You could make these, they're going to be candlesticks, so you could make them longer or shorter if you want. And then when you get to the last one, just glue another tubber block on each side for the top and also for the bottom, as you'll see when I turn it over. And it will look like this. It's a bit quick. You can make them longer if you want to. So this time I'm doing the blocks. I'm not doing them flat, I'm doing them on their side, and I'm also just crossing them over diagonally as well. And I used hot glue for this because it was quicker. So you just keep doing this until you get the height that you want. I did try remaking this one with the wood glue and some hot glue, but I have the Sure Bonder, what's that? Sure Bonder hot glue, not the wood one, just the normal one, and it didn't hold it. So I really like the Sure Bonder glue gun, but definitely prefer the Gorilla glue sticks. So for this one, I just put one flat and then one on its side, diagonally like the last two, and then one flat, one on its side, and I just kept repeating that until I got the height I wanted. And then you just put the two blocks on the top and the bottom, on either side, on the top of the bottom, like you did with the first one. And this is how they turned out, and I'll link the little candle holder pieces that I got for the top down below, because I got them on Amazon. But these, you can make them whichever length that you like. You just need one pack of the 72 block turbo blocks. And I got this calendar from Dollar Tree, so I'm just going to remove the date and numbers, and then I'm just taking some wee pliers to twist out these little hooks. And then I coloured in, I didn't colour them all, I just coloured these ones to show you. Because they were like aqua colour, and I wanted a green to go with this lovely wallpaper from Dollar Tree. So I just traced around the back with a pen, and then I cut it out. And then I just stuck it to the front of the calendar. So I made 2 sets of 5 blocks in a row, and now I'm going to show you how I made the top and the bottom. I made 2 of these, but I'll just show you one. So I did one flat, one on this side, the next one flat, the next one its side, all the way along, and then I glued them off camera. So I made 2 of these, and then the 2 5 block pieces I glued 2 to the bottom one at the inside edge, and I glued one on top of the other, and I did that on both sides, and then I turned it up on its side, and then I glued 2 on the bottom with space in between, and then I stained it all with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then I glued the sides to the calendar, and then I glued the top piece on, and then I glued the bottom piece on. And then I cut a piece of foam board, well I cut 2 pieces of foam board, and I just hot glued them on the back and on the bottom so that I can fill up my little shelf with some Spanish moss and succulents. Oh yeah, I put these pieces back on. I forgot to show that. I just screwed them back in. You could put flowers in here if you wanted, but I like the succulents. For this DIY, I used this Hug Me sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut the tag off it, and then I'm going to paint the Hug Me, this side of it, with some black ink chalk paint. And then I filled in this hole with wood filler, but you really don't need to do that. And the wood filler never wants to come out of the tube. But yeah, you don't need to do this step. And I used cover blocks. I think I used 2 packs for this. And some Dollar Tree super glue wood glue. And then I just glued the tower blocks all around the outside of the heart. And I had only planned to do 1 row of tower blocks around the heart, but then I decided to do 2, and I can't remember. I think it was 2 packs. Maybe it was 3 packs. I don't know. So you could leave it like that, but I wanted to make another row. So I just glue them right onto the other tower blocks. And this is what it looks like. So I have this was off a sign from Dollar Tree the year before, and I had it left over, so I'm just gonna glue some tower blocks to the side with the glitter on it, just around to the heart shape as well. Dollar Tree actually featured this DIY on their Instagram, so I was chuffed for that. And I stained it with some antique Waverly, Waverly antique wax, what am I talking about? And then I dry brushed this part with some ivory Waverly chalk paint. And then I sanded it down. Reinforced it with some hot glue. I think one was loose. And I printed off the word love on my Trinket, but you can always use stickers from Dollar Tree. And I made it into a stencil. So I'm going to use the antique wax because I wanted it to be brown, and I forgot that I have brown paint. So I'm just dabbing it on with a sponge. And then I'm just going to peel off the vinyl. And it took some of it with it, so I just touched it up a wee bit. But I actually like how it looks. It doesn't look too perfect, and I love how it turned out. I'm just weeding off the extra bits, and then I filled in a little bit. And I just put that piece in the middle and filled it up with some rocks from Dollar Tree and some succulents from Dollar Tree. And I love how this turned out. I just think it turned out so beautiful. For this DIY, I need a plank from Dollar Tree, and I already put a wee hook on the back with a popsicle stick and some twine, and I'm just drawing the letter S with a pencil, and then I'm going to glue the tower blocks on it to make the shape of the S. And you could do this with any letter. I only did it with this one because I thought the S would look really nice, but you could definitely do it with any letter that you like. And if you make this DIY, you can make like a more script, like shape letter instead of like a square block letter. I ended up having to space them out a wee bit. I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax, and then I just filled it with some Spanish moss and some succulents and hung it on the wall. This next DIY, you need 2 of the big tower block packs. So I'm going to glue together 12 blocks, so 6 blocks high and 2 blocks across, and I make 2 of these. So here I am making 7 pairs of tower blocks. And now I'm going to glue together 3 tower blocks. Apparently I didn't need 7. So 6, and then 6 of the first pairs, and then now I'm gluing 3 tower blocks together. It looks like I've glued them all together, but I'm not. And I make 8 of these. I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And when I made the first video, I knew how many I needed for this. Now I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna make like a wee mini palette thing with the larger squares and these ones that I glued together. So I'm just gonna glue one on each side and then glue the next ones on the next side on top, and then the opposite side again. And then I'm gonna glue the bigger one on the very top. This was me telling you I don't know how many's in it. Okay, so this one I'm gluing, I had 6 blocks that I just glued like the other palette, and then I put one of the set 3 on the top and one on the bottom. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tower blocks, 15, 16 tower blocks, and then the set of 3 on the top and the bottom. And then I don't know how much I use for the other two, I'm sorry. Just make them however how you want them. Whatever looks good to you is how you make them, okay? You need 2 packs for this one. So you need 2 tower blocks on their own, and then you need to make 2 sets of 2, 2 sets of 3, all the way up to 2 sets of 10. And then you take the 10 and then you start gluing them, working your way down to 1, and you put them right in the middle of the one underneath, so that it creates steps going up and it's going to look like a wee pyramid. And you want to do that with the other set, and then you are going to glue them together. And then I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax, and I just made a wee visor. You could make it bigger if you wanted, you could put legs on it, whatever you want to do. Okay, for this DIY, I have 5 blocks in a row, and then I am just cutting a block in half, and I'll link the saw down below. I got it from Amazon. So I have the 5 blocks in a row, and then I'm using the half block to start the next row and finish the next row. Obviously I didn't like that block. But if you try and fit them together, obviously the same size. Some of them are not the same size, so if you get ones that are wider, then just take them out and swap them out for thinner ones. And then I did the next row, I did the 5 blocks, and then the next row I cut it, but I had made it too small. So here is how I fixed it to make it a bit longer. I just put an extra, I moved the half block down to the bottom and an extra block where that was, and I kept doing that, and then I just made another half block for the very top. And I glued it together off camera, and I made another two of the, no, I made four, four of these like triangle pyramid things that I made in the last DIY, and I'm just gluing one to either end, and then one on each side, and I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax. And Dollar Tree also featured this one on their Instagram. But I thought, out of all my DIYs, they picked this one. But this one, you could have it up like this as a planter, or you could turn it around and have a tray. And you don't have to have like the brick style pattern on the top. You could just do them. You could just make the top part without cutting it if that's what you wanted to do. And you need 2 packs of Turbo blocks. So I'm using some of the Dollar Tree wood glue, and I'm just gluing together 4 blocks in a row. Oh, and I have these standing on their side, and then I glue 3, and then 2, and then 1. So it looks like this, like steps again. And then I do the same thing on the other side. And for the next one, I did 4 again, and then 3, and then 2. And then I repeated that on the other side. And I made 2 of each. So now I'm just going to glue them together. I'm going to glue the skinnier ones inside onto the bigger one, and then the bigger one on top. And I used some celery and ivory chalk paint to paint it and dry brush it, and then I just stuck in some what's it called, grass stuff from Dollar Tree. You could put a bottom on it if you wanted, but I didn't bother. And I made the same shape again, and I'm not sure if the 2 packs were for both of these DIYs or not. So I made 3 of the bigger shape from the first DIY, and then I glued 3 bricks in the middle and glued 1 on top, and then I glued another 3 bricks in the middle and glued another 1 on top, and I also stained it with the celery and the ivory, and I made like, could be a candle holder. I put a little succulent on the top of mine. I need 2 packs of tower blocks for this DIY. I think the last one was definitely 2 packs for both DIYs. So I'm just going to make a frame, and it is 4 blocks across and 4 blocks high, and then I'm just filling it in, and it is, it'll be 12 blocks across. And then you have the 4 at the top and 4 at the bottom, and I glued it off camera with some wood glue. And now I'm just gluing on 4 of the blocks and doing the same step pattern So I glued 4 of the blocks in the middle, and then I glue 3, and then 2, and then 1. And I repeat that on each side. I'm just making a hanger for the back with some twine and a popsicle stick and some hot glue. And I'd painted it with the celery and the ivory paint. And then I'm just gluing on some leaves from Dollar Tree. You of course can put whatever you want inside the frame. So for this DIY, I made the frame again, but now I'm just going to repeat gluing the blocks the exact same way on the other side. And I do it for all 4 sides. And you could just make the frame and turn it upside down, or you could have it. You don't have to put these extra bits on it if you don't want to. Anyway, this is how it turned out, and I just painted it with the celery and then dry brushed it with the ivory. I think it turned out really nice. For this DIY, I just have 2 of the square canvases from Dollar Tree, and I just painted on some Mod Podge, and I stuck down one of the Dollar Tree scarves. And I have 2 different scarves, and I just did the same thing with the other scarf. And here I'm just Mod Podging the back and then gluing it on. Here I'm just making a wee hanger with a popsicle stick and some twine and some hot glue. And I already stained the pieces, so I have the little cubes from Dollar Tree, the wooden cubes, and I did 1 cube and then 1 tower block for one of them all the way around, and then the other frame I did 4 cubes on each corner and then 3 tower blocks along the edges, and then I put some of the nautical rope around the outside, and this is how it turned out. I have this family sign from Dollar Tree, so I'm just going to pull off the metal family word from the front, and then I'm going to peel off all the paper. I painted it with the Waverly ink chalk paint, and then just using some wood glue. I already laid out the tower blocks, and did I not show? I stained them with the Jacobean wood stain. I thought I showed it, but I didn't. So I just glue them to the outside of the sign. And then I already stained all these wooden blocks, and I just glued them all on the inside, and I had a wee mirror from, I think it was from Michael's or Hobby Lobby, so I put that on the inside, covered it up though. I'm just gluing that in place now before I glue down the last row of the blocks. Not blocks, yeah, cubes. I think I used 2 packs of the cubes for this and 1 pack of tower blocks. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But this is how it turned out, and I do love it. I used 1 of the 72 block packs of tower blocks for this, and this wee tray from Dollar Tree, and some wood glue, and I'm just going to glue the pieces on. 1 flat, 1 on its side, 1 flat on its side, alternately like that. But I did leave a little gap either side because they don't fit exactly all the way across. And then I just do this for each side. And don't worry about those wee holes because you won't see them. And this is how it turned out. I stained it with some Waverly Antique Wax, and I filled it with some Dollar Tree rocks and succulents. You could put wee feet on it if you wanted to. I have these 2 sizes of Hexagon boxes from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use the lids and I paint them with some black paint. And now I'm going to take 12, I already stained all the blocks with some Waverly Antique Wax, and I didn't show that. But I'm going to glue together 3 blocks, 2 on its side with the 1 on, no, 2 flat with the 1 in the middle on its side, and I'm going to make 6 of these. And then I make 6 with 2 on the side in the middle and then 2 flat on the outside. And then I just glue them to the block, to the box. And then I had cut down these skewers, no, wood dowels, and glued them in the spaces on the corners. And you can have yours whatever height you want. I just filled them with some rocks and some succulents from Dollar Tree, and this is how they turned out. And it turned out really cool. I used the lids because we didn't want them to be too deep. And for this one, I got 3 blocks and I spaced them apart, and then I put on another 2 blocks and then 3 blocks, all with spaces in between, so that looks like this. And I did them, it's 7 blocks high, but you can make this any height or width that you want to. And I made 2 of these, and then I made 2 with just 1 block on the bottom one, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, like this. I made 2 of those. I stained them all with the antique wax. And then I glued them together. You fit them together like this so that there's still a space, but they're also, you see them sticking out at the edges, at the corners. And then I glued on 4 of these wee cubes, and I also cut a piece of foam board to make a bottom. I just put that inside. And then I just filled it with some greenery that I got from Amazon. I'll link that down below as well. And this is how it turned out. I was supposed to put some nautical rope in between, like weave it through, but I've made the wrong amount of holes. And for this last DIY, if you made it this far, I made 2 rows of 10 blocks and 2 rows of 9 blocks, and I glued them together in a square. And for this one, I made 2 rows of 6 blocks and then 2 rows of 5, and I made them into a box of a square, and I made 2 of them and then just gluing them on top of each other. And then I have 4 sets of 3 blocks, and I just glued them together in a square, and I stained it with the early American wood stain. And here I am just gluing in a piece of foam board that I'd cut to size, and then I'm gluing this piece in the middle and then the other piece in the middle of that piece. And it's supposed to make a pyramid shape, a pyramid planter, and I just put in some greenery and flowers. And we're at the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I know it was long. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.